girl likes Donatello best. And I was like, you can't prove that. They're like, we've taken a poll. I'm like, okay, you asked 2 people. You asked me, and you asked your ex-girlfriend. And he's like, and so far 100% said yes. So I took a poll on my DeviantArt, and actually it turns out that that's not true. And I said, look, I pulled almost 2,000 people. And they're like, well, you pulled 2,000 of the wrong people. They've all got terrible answers. He does machines. It's so great. We're doing this thing. I want to do it like around Christmas, where like my friends ride motorcycles, and I'm getting my permit too. And we want to dress up my friend Kevin as Leonardo and my friend Tom as Shredder and have them chase each other on motorcycles. Tom's like, oh, you can like totally do my helmet with the big spikes. I'm like, that would be so hilarious. But we all have to get our permits so we can all be Ninja Turtles. And just zoom down Ridley Park chasing that guy on mics. And then he's like, but then who will film it? I'm like, we gotta make new friends. New friends that can hold a camera, unlike Dustin when he filmed my mouse funeral. I had a funeral for my mice. They were living in, well, they were dead in my fridge for about 1.5 years because I didn't want to bury them because I live in an apartment. I can't bury them anywhere. But I don't want to flush them or throw them away. They're pets, you know? They're cool. There was King of Prussia. There was Sammy Davis Jr. There was Frankie Zan, short for Francisco Zanzibar. And there was Bucky. King of Prussia, in case you don't know, which you probably don't, is a city in Pennsylvania that also mainly houses, it's not much bigger than a mall called King of Prussia Mall. We just call it KOP. But yes, it's very big. So I didn't want to, just throw them out. They're my pets. I love them. They're mice. So we had a mice Viking funeral.
Yes!
I got a model of a wooden Viking ship, and we put them on it, and we all dressed up like Vikings, with helmets, and we had a big banner. Oh, it was the best banner. It was like a little mouse symbol with the 2 ears, but then these 2 horns coming out. It was a big red banner held on the stick, and we set it on the stream and lit it on fire. But it wouldn't sink. So we eventually had to go with the alternate, but still historically viable concept of Viking funeral where we buried it with rocks underneath the stream. They also did that. It wasn't as cool as lighting it on fire, but they also did that. Not under the stream, they did it on land, but we didn't want anybody messing with it. So we had a Viking funeral for my mice, and Dustin filmed it, and he's holding the camera like freaking Michael J. Fox, But he's not in charge of a foundation, so we can't give him a free ride for that, We can't just excuse him. Anybody else have any comments about Bizenghast, which is what this panel is about? Panels with me never are ever about what they're supposed to be about. They're about everything but. How many people here are actually fans of Bizenghast instead of just killing time? Nice.
Wait, which part was that? Was it the killing time or the fan part?
Yeah. The fan part.
Okay, then yes.
Okay. I know sometimes I'll wander in and just start having an opinion about something I've never seen before. I liked episode 4 best. Marty, this is a Dolphy panel. Well, I hated the... Are you drunk? A little bit. Oh man, I was so drunk when we did that LARP concert in Otakon. That was hilarious. Me and Christy and a bunch of other people were handing out, it's always me and Christy, we're handing out, putting the stickers on people's badges who had paid to go to the big Mark and Sale concert. And Christy's like, this is going to be just a board fest and a half. Look, I've got Pepsi and I've got vanilla vodka. I'm like, I smell a sitcom. Or a drink. So we're sitting there with the bottles of Pepsi, getting steadily more and more drunk. And I cannot hold my drinks at all. It's so hilarious. Because I just feel like, when I get drunk, I feel like everybody in the world needs a really good compliment. About whatever. Everybody needs a compliment. So I'm sitting there, and all I had to do was put the sticker on their badge and say, do not line up until 4:30, the doors open at 5. Because I didn't want people crowding around this big Baltimore Convention Center theater or whatever. And it just ended up being this. There you go, Chief! 1 sticker for you! Don't ever line up unless it's 5 o'clock. There are doors. I love your hair! Don't you just love his hair? Or like somebody walked up with like this necklace they made in metal working class or something. I'm like, did you make that? I love it! Don't you just love it? And Chris is ignoring me, and I'm like, hello! I said love it! he ended up just giving it to me because apparently he either thought I was hitting on him or drunk. I was one. Then somebody came up, we're wearing full costumes, we got ball gowns on and everything, we're cosplayers, we're cosplaying for 10 years. And this woman comes up in this crazy costume made of felt and staples, and I'm like, you made that by yourself, like not from a store? I wish we made costumes. She just looks over, puts down her keyblade, and is like, you don't shut up. And also Jezzeroth kept popping in, like, and he was there the whole time, but I just kept turning him and going, my God, Jezzeroth, when did you get here? Hi! He's like, Marty, I've been sitting here for an hour and a half. In fact, I've been standing on your foot for an hour and a half. Can you feel it? No, can you? I have to go to the bathroom and throw up, but it's not because of the drinking. I'm just having such a wonderful time. I can't hold all the fun in. I'll be right back. Oh, God. I don't usually drink at cons, but that was amazing. That was even better than the time we took all those snake puppets and threw them into our pasta at Olive Garden. And other people's too. We just yelled, woo, spring break! And then slid under the table. Yeah. Yeah, I like to hang around with my friend John Hawk. He's in AA. I mean, he's not really committed to it. You know, he tries. If this goes on YouTube, I know, John, I'm just joking, okay? I know you're very committed. And I'm pretty sure you're not in AA. Dude, you really need to stop drinking. Little bird told me so. Besides drinking. Oh! I want to tell you a little thing about my sister. I want to tell you two things. One, she looks exactly like Jodie Foster in Silence of the Lambs, which is why I can't watch that movie. It's not scary. It's just like, imagine like somebody from your family on TV, and they look exactly like them, but they have a strange, different voice. It's terrifying. It's like if you came home from lunch, and you're like, hey guys, I'm home, Mom, Dad, and these two people come in, and they've got masks with their parents' faces on them. But they're clearly not your parents. Hi, honey. How was school? Bird, start the car. Go for help! I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I wanted to do it because I love you. I'm good. Kidnapping and then wife beating. It's so funny, Marty. What am I talking about? Oh yeah, so the second thing about my sister is she doesn't approve of anything I've ever done from birth till now. And one of them is Bizenghast. I think she doesn't approve of it because she's also a writer, but I'm published and she's not. She is the residency writer for the Boston Public Library. They gave her $30,000 to apparently not write a book. She hasn't done it yet. I'm still working on it. I'm like, Jane, that was like 3 years ago. Seriously. I'm shorter now because I took my shoes off, in case you're wondering. Yeah, so she's like, I didn't like book 2. I'm like, or maybe it was book 1. I forget. I really like, they kind of run together. I'm like, when do you like anything I do? And she's like, you know, that part where they were in that woods with Maggie Murdoch, that was cool. But then, like, Vincent, you know, he had those pistols. I'm like, oh, the pistols that remained in the holsters and never got taken out, not once. And the only time he ever touched him was when he busted in Elliot Ness style. You know, like, meanwhile, Ness and his men head for a speakeasy in Berwyn. You know, it was a 1930s reference. You know, it was like a prohibition kind of joke. It wasn't even the 30s actually. It was like the 20s. But she's like, yeah, I think that's like really, you know, it teaches kids to play with guns. I'm like, well, it teaches kids to dress up like Elliot Ness, obtain pistols from somewhere, and go into other dimensions. I am a terrible person, awful human being. And I was just like, Jane, seriously, he didn't even take them out. That's why I think, I can't remember if that one came first, and that was why I gave him a riding crop in the scene that everybody's like, you ripped off Labyrinth. And I'm like, I didn't rip off Labyrinth. I gave her Sarah hair from Labyrinth because I love Labyrinth and I wanted people to get the joke. And you know what I'm talking about, right? Like, you know, when they're all dancing around, people are like, that ballroom scene was just like the scene in Labyrinth. I'm like, okay, let's break this down. She has the same hair as her. Yeah, that was an homage. Do it all the time. What can I say? Me and my sister were nuts over that when we were a kid. We loved Labyrinth. When we were a kid. When we used to be one person.